Welcome to the program. Grab a coffee, our premier live recording, coming to you from Endiro, gracious hostess this morning. From wherever it is that you catch your podcast, we can't be more elated than to have you listening in and watching in. It's a tremendous morning for us. Ray, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Simon. I must congratulate you. For the first time, you're not wearing an Under Armour cape. This is movement, massive progress.
Well, others will say I don't have the suspenders on and the bow tie. But I'm glad it's now all about rebranding and getting ourselves geared up to grab a coffee.
Yes, I'm really excited about this episode for two things. One, that we're doing it live, so our audience will see what we go through to produce just one episode of a podcast. But I think number two, we have some really interesting guests today.
Incredible. And of course, they won't get the real feel of how we do it when we are doing it in our space because we are closer and more intimate. Right now, I feel like your words apart. I have a feeling you're speaking from a different time zone, but I believe...
I will be more free to speak. I fear when I'm close to you, you might punch me.
Why telling them our inside secrets? Well, I'll start from where we always begin from. How's been your week?
It's been a long week, incidentally. As you know, I wasn't in town. I was in Fort Portal for the earlier half of the week. And then I spent the other half of the week in Endiro. You and I spent it in Endiro. I don't know if the audience knows, we left this place at 4 a.m. Some of the team left here at 6 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, but it's been a very, very active week.
Well, on my end, you are out of town. I have to keep in town just in case anything changes in the political dimension and other things that we have to keep a hold on. But well, it's been a long...
But you were in Nairobi. So the people the people who are loyal followers of the podcast don't know that you left. I went to Nairobi, dipped in there, and there were protests in Nairobi. I now have confirmed the phenomenon, actually. Every time you're in Nairobi, there's a protest. There's something that Ruto needs to know.
Well, Raymond, I ensure that I make sure I have my foot on the ground so that when we're analyzing some of these conversations, I have a first-hand account of what takes place where it is. Well, for our conversation today, starting off our first series of the live recording, we are going to discuss several topics, but for particularly this particular course, we are looking at an interesting conversation about young people and what shackles us from taking the reins of being able to govern ourselves in all ways, whether politically, whether economically, or even how we fit socially. And we'll be having an interesting guest to have a conversation around. But Raymond, for purposes of giving it context, just enlighten us more about why we chose this particular theme to start us with.
So there's mass disillusion, mass political apathy. Many people do not believe the political opinion poll put out by New Vision, but I had a chance to go through it and its numbers, and more than 8 in 10 of the people who were asked whether they would show up to vote if the vote was being held on that day say they wouldn't come to vote. And 10 in 10 of the people who say they wouldn't come to vote were in fact young people. So this mass disillusion and apathy with the way we are governed. But that mass disillusion and apathy also shows itself in different ways. So we have high levels of addiction that are cropping up in our society. We have massive depressions that are cropping up in our society. There's this mass anxiety for young people, which is well justified. The economy is not producing enough jobs. We are going to speak to someone today about that. But also just the basic lifestyle, the lifestyle that people like our guest lived when they were young. We can't have that today because the cost of living has gone up more than 6 times from that time. So the idea of this guest today is to try and unpack what is it that you guys have done in the last 4 decades that has led us to here, and what can be undone to make this place a much better place.
There wouldn't have been a more apt guest to have on the program other than the man I'm going to introduce right now. His name, Honorable Frederick Ruhindi, former Attorney General, former Member of Parliament, but he's not just a politician, as it were, or an astute lawyer, now commonly known as senior counsel, but he's a man that has lived a very illustrious life as a young man. He, like many of us, struggled with habit, addiction, and many things that could shackle a young man from attaining the fullest potential of their mental faculties and their professional training. He comes in to share his life story, a transformation that led him from a point where many of us find ourselves to a point where he finds himself, a place where many of us would love to find ourselves in the future. So without further ado, let's put our hands together for the Honorable Frederick Ruhindi. Please step forward and assume your seat, sir.
You know, as Fred comes here, he's the only man in a tie today.
And for exactly
and the
those
only
reasons.
man in a suit today. So it's a little bit scary to be interviewing him.
Absolutely. And again, as the text says, we want to pay particular attention and gratitude to our gracious supporters for today's program. Endiro for providing us an incredible venue and serving us their well-brewed Ugandan coffee. Hands together for them. Technically, from the sound perspective, we have our friends from DVI who are so kind enough to provide to us the sound support and give us the best that we can have in terms of having this show produced professionally. DVI will provide you any conference facility and materials you need, from as basic as a flip chart to astute sound and lighting system. And of course, tagging along with them, Raymond, you may wish to say special thanks out to our DJs in the house.
Yes, special thanks to Zonke DJs who are right there. So if you're on the Blue channel, you will listen to the Zonke DJs who have been very gracious to gift us with the music we have today. But our subscribers, the loyal subscribers, would know this is our first podcast with an actual advertiser. So we have MultiChoice who's come on board as the first advertiser for this podcast. And we're really gracious and grateful for them for that.
Showmax is unveiling a whole new role for entertainment with Showmax Now. Whether you're catching the FIFA Club World Cup or simply catching up with some Kampala cream, Showmax is where all your favorite entertainment is.
And of course, you can watch that anywhere, anytime, on your phone for just 11,400 shillings per month. Subscribe now via Momo and never miss a moment.
And of course, we have to thank them further for looking deeply into promoting Ugandan and authentic Ugandan content, Grab a Coffee being one of those. Welcome to the program, Honorable Ruhindi.
Thank you so much, Simon.
We would love you to introduce yourself to us in a way that we've never had. We would want you not to tell us of the government positions you've held, the corporate positions you've held, but as a man growing up to where you are, introduce yourself to us in a manner that will resonate with you and the life you lived to get to where you are.
Thank you so much, Simon. And thank you so much, Raymond. And all those who are listening to us. Yes, you have introduced me. I'm Frederick Ruhindi. I'm a lawyer. I'm a politician. My background doesn't need a commercial. But I have sensed the type of membership of our listeners. And many of us listening are young people. You want to ask me, I know, even you. Yes, I am. My mind is young.
And the heart too.
Now, young people, let me tell you this. The day you become disciplined, the day you become organized, and the day you become hardworking, that is the day you'll break even in your lives. Disciplined, organized, and hardworking.
Fred, I wanted to ask you, just before you continue, disciplined, organized, and hardworking. I know so many young people in here who are those three things, but they're not breaking even. And it has little or anything to do with the amount of hard work. It's just that the society that they live in has completely and fundamentally changed. For example, at your time, if you graduated Mackay University, you were very much assured of a job. Today, people graduate and they go 5, 6, 7 years before they can have their first job. People are struggling with paying basic bills because the cost of living has gone up. So for me, my question to you in that regard would be, aside from these things, if you have young people already hardworking, disciplined, and they're ready to take on the reins of life, why is it that life is not handing them the lemons that it handed you? Why is it handing us lemonade?
Every generation has its own challenges. The challenges of yesterday are not the challenges of today. Even during our time, there are people who tell us that they had it better than during our young generation. So every generation has its own challenges. And you must always rise up to those challenges. I agree with you, and I was coming to that. You simply cut me short. I believe we still have some bit of time. I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. Can I?
Yes, please. Go ahead.
In 1987, 38 years ago, I celebrated my 38th year out of alcohol and smoking. I stopped drinking and smoking on the same day, 22nd June 1987, 10 a.m. in the morning. It was a Tuesday. I stopped drinking and smoking. That decision alone changed my life. I had already graduated. I was a young state attorney. But life was not actually,
Lifing.
life was not lifing.
Can I ask you a complicated
Indeed.
question? What is it that made you drink and smoke? Was it lifestyle? Was it challenges at the job? Was it
Lifestyle. To me, it was lifestyle. It was, and peership. Having colleagues who enjoy certain things and you find yourself associated with them and living that kind of life. And I want to tell you that even when I stopped, some of them actually left me,
Oh,
you know. But I kept on looking for them, trying also to persuade them into following my habit. So that alone, and by the way, this has built something in me. Even when I was a minister, I had to encourage colleague ministers in the health ministry, in the health sector, to start thinking seriously about rehabilitation centers, government rehabilitation centers. That's how we started the Wataruka Hospital Rehabilitation Center. Up to now, it's still helping people. But the challenge, of course, is the cost. Because sometimes these private rehabilitation centers are very expensive. You take a child there, 3 months, you find yourself paying about 10 to 15 million shillings. So, to me, of course, it takes two to tango. Raymond, I know where you are pushing me. You are pushing me. What is the leadership doing about young people? But it takes two to tango. The young people must also do something for themselves.
but if I may just interject at this particular time, we're looking at the timeline of 1987 and seeing you drinking almost at commercial proportions and quitting at that particular
At
time.
industrial level.
Industrial level.
what is industrial? No,
I mean,
by the way,
by the time a man quits
what-
smoking on it and
what is
drinking
a
on
lot
it,
of drinking, Fred? Why you take a whole bottle, 3 bottles, 5
Raymond,
bottles?
before he comes in,
Mine was industrial.
I'm just imagining someone quitting drinking on a Tuesday morning at 10 a.m. What was Monday night like? One can only imagine. Monday night, when you should be in the office as a state attorney. Can you imagine the government he was trying to represent in court on a Monday morning and Tuesday morning when he quit drinking? But away from that, Frederick, you allow me call you by that name for purposes of engagement with young people. We're looking at the timeline. Let's look 10 years before 1987. This 1977, and we know what the governance of this country looked like around 1977. We know 1979, a war comes through and topples the government. Then there is a mix of governments between 1979 to 1981 when the current government comes in play. So we're looking at the earlier days of this government from 1981, not coming to play. The current government, the leaders go to the bush. So there is a war from 1981
to 86.
to 1986. January 26th to be exact. There is a change of guard. And 1 year into that new government, you decide to quit. One wouldn't be wrong to say, perhaps the political goings on at the time and the uncertainty of life, the scarcity of basic goods, including what was basic to you, which was alcohol and cigarettes, could have been one of the things that attracted you more into that lifestyle you chose with your friends, as opposed to the need to associate. Now, let's move over from 1987 to today. 37 years down the road, this country has been relatively at peace, as at least it is claimed, except some parts of the country. Why is it that increasingly we young people seem to be doing what you were doing at industrial level, pro max?
But let's be realistic with each other. First of all, let's look at the population growth rate. Okay? In 1986, how many people were in Uganda? Help me yourselves.
Well, we're looking at less than 20 million.
Yes, less than 20 million. Actually, about 15.
Well, we have someone in the house from the Uganda Bureau of Statistics. I'm sure she can give us the exact figures.
Yes, I think Faith will have to come in here. Yes. Now, let me tell you, 15 million people. At that point in time, what could have been the public service accommodation in terms of jobs? If you notice, you will notice one thing which is very, very challenging, if I may say. That, for instance, the public service jobs have not increased significantly from what they used to be in 1986 compared to what they are today. Now. Okay? But the population is significantly increasing by the day. When we completed university, Makerere University was the only university, for instance, offering the bar course, rather the law course. And we graduated in our class, the only class in Uganda, with about 52 graduates. 52 graduates. All right? Right now, as we speak, the absorption rate, you would find that actually, even if the 52 wanted to join the public service, they would have joined the public service. But now, you imagine how many institutions of higher learning do offer law degrees. Substantial. LODC itself is no longer enough to absorb them. The competition to go to LODC is increasing. So the challenge also, the growth of the population, the inelastic public service accommodation in terms of jobs, I think the best is, that's why I think the government has been thinking through these other processes, industrialization, okay? Industrialization. The more industrialization increases, the more jobs increase for the young people, okay? That's one area. But also, the mindset change is also a challenge among the young people, because, and I want to give you an example. I do a lot of trotting when I'm talking to my people in Nakawa East. I do a lot of trotting. You find a young man, sometime back I found a young man, I asked him, who was selling passion fruits. I asked him how much a sack of passion fruits is. He told me, at that time it was, I think, 350,000. So I asked him, how long does it take you to sell this sack? He told me 2 days. I said, what profit do you get after selling the sack of passion fruits? He told me about 80,000 shillings in 2 days. All right? Now, in a month, he's over 1 million. Okay? So you get a young graduate working for 500,000 shillings every month in very hard conditions. Then you say, but there is also a challenge with our mindset. sometime back, you young people, you have helped us because social media is even educating us a little bit more. I saw something running on social media about the lifestyle of those people you think live well, the whites. But I want to tell you, I personally, when I was doing my master's degree in Edinburgh in 1990, I washed dishes in a French restaurant in order to be able to look after these children at home whom I left behind. I did a beautiful job, by the way. I enjoyed it. But after a very serious struggle in order to catch up. But I do you know, in the same restaurant, I worked with sons and daughters of billionaires, eminent people, judges, big lawyers in town. You know, their children were there. At 18, a young person there is off the radar from his parents or her parents, trying to find a way of survival.
And that
But
now,
here, no, wait, Simon. But here, the children are pampered to death until the parent perishes. In Runyankore, we have a saying, "Ngu oromi kurukura ruonka abana baruo." When the heir grows old, it breastfeeds on the children. But here, the reverse is true.
Fred,
Are you listening, Raymond?
no, I'm
Yeah,
just
the
trying to
reverse is true.
disagree with you
The
with
children,
numbers.
the children want to keep on, and also they being pampered by their parents to stay in that particular condition for a long time. We must change our mindset. Let me also complete my submission.
Yes.
Okay? Because if you throw me off the radar, I will forget my argument. Mind you, I'm 70 years old. Right? So let me tell you. Yes, there is a challenge in government. And no one is ever perfect anyway. We shall talk about the successes of government, but we also can talk about the challenges in government. The challenge of building institutions and systems is a very big challenge. Because where systems and institutions work, age is not a problem. For instance, age is not a problem because we are inspired differently. Some of us are in politics out of conviction, not out of convenience. We are no longer in politics for applause. We are in politics for a cause. All right? So, if systems are running, democracy is what it should be. Institutions are functioning. I can tell you, everyone will find his or her own level and be useful wherever he or she is. Now, for instance, the youth, as they rise up, the challenge is leadership, 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 leadership. You see, what is the challenge? Challenge, I think, is if systems and institutions are running properly, people are in, scientists are doing their part, educationists are doing their part, everyone in his or her own vocation is doing his or her part, I can tell you society will run normally.
Fred, the question I wanted to ask you, and maybe let me ask it differently now, is the Cabinet of Uganda is the highest decision-making body on the governance of Uganda. You sat there, and you've sat there in no other position but Attorney General. In the order of ascendance, you're probably 8th most important minister in Uganda. When you're thinking about a problem, maybe help us understand, in your time during cabinet, does the Cabinet of Uganda sit and say we have a system problem, or do they sit and say we have young people are running around, they don't have what to do? When you sit in cabinet, does someone present a cabinet paper and say this is the systematic problem that we have, which is maybe that the economy is not growing fast enough for the population that we have? Or do you say we see a lot of young people running around. So we're going to try and solve that problem.
And maybe just to compliment Raymond,
That's a good question.
I want to bring it to your doorstep and for the benefit of our listeners that Honorable Ruhindi here was not just a minister, but he ascended from every level of civil governance. He started off as an LC1 chairperson, became an LC2 chairperson, became a councillor at LC3, became a councillor at LC5, became a member of parliament, and got into cabinet. So when he's talking about governance, he may need to be generous enough with us and share with us the insights he picks from those levels of governance, right from the grassroots. I think the only position you've not ascended to is the presidency. And maybe you may wish to declare if you intend to do that.
I think he needs to walk out of here a free man.
These young people, they are very tempting. Now, let me tell you one thing. Raymond asked a very good question. What does cabinet discuss? Everything, how the government runs, including what you are talking about. Yes, systems, institutions, how they should run. You know, it doesn't mean that I should begin revealing what my views were in cabinet on a particular subject. Of course not. Whatever my views were, cabinet then had to take a collective decision. That's how societies run. Even when we are here, there must be things which bind our common understanding, how we run our affairs. But most importantly, let me also say this. I think Museveni's government must be credited for one important thing. For running the government, and don't think that it's by accident that the government is in existence 40 years down the road. It's not by accident. I think the government has been run on seriously thought through ideological guidance. And that's at the highest level. Because ideological guidance is also, then you come down systemically, institutionally, down the road. But I think where we are having a challenge is as time goes by, you find that we are running more with people who are more loyal to us, more than those who are competent to do certain things.
Oh, so it's an issue of loyalty and not competence to deliver the mandate.
Yeah, that challenge is coming in, I can say it. And it must be addressed. To be frank, it must be addressed. Otherwise, where do we end?
And I believe that's one of the concerns these
Yes.
young people listening to us live in here and out there believe that they have amassed competence in terms of professional astuteness, they have amassed competence in terms of mental disposition and as far as moral turpitude is concerned, but they don't seem to be allowed the opportunity to step forward and show cause. And they give you examples. I am here yapping about being young, but I must say I am at this particular time older than when President Museveni became president. He became president at 42. I am way older than 42, and yet I am not even a president of a local Rotary club.
We sent you to Rujumbura. You chickened out of the election.
Raymond, I thought we had kept you under wraps. Collective responsibility. But yes, Honorable Hindi, the frustration with young people comes from, indeed, as you just pointed out. You have pointed out loyalty and not competence. The question then abounds, who bails the cat? How do we solve that? From where you sit, how can that be addressed?
It will be addressed because at the end of the day, you know, this daughter of mine and others like you, Simon, you know, I believe in God so much. In the book of Isaiah, chapter 60, verse 22, it says that when the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen. His time, not our time. And I want to tell you where we are now. There are many things unfolding that we are about to get back in the right direction. Yes. Certain situations come, and sometimes actually God wants to test you. Throws it here, throws it there. You wake up. You wake up. Because if you begin, if you put more focus on royalty on top of competence, I'm telling you the results will actually come out right in your face when things fail. And you wake up. And I believe that we have actually reached that point. If I may be, I can tell you, that's what I'm seeing myself. We are reaching, we are there. Eventually, yes, royalty, yes, there must be royalty, why not? But you must balance it with competence, okay? But not excessive royalty. And so sometimes I don't know how actually some other people feel in some institutions. You find all of a sudden a person who has been down there about fourth, fifth, down below you. In the public service, it looks a little bit strange. Maybe in politics. In politics, we are used to those things, okay? But professionally, when it comes to profession, doctors, for instance, we know these things. We were in school with some colleagues. If you're in school with a colleague who was beating you from year one, the day you started school, up to university, and even beat you in the university, got a better job first, even before you do. But luckily enough, you also actually find him in the same place, okay?
And surpass them.
And then you somersault sometimes 3-4 ranks ahead of you and become that person's boss. How do you think that kind of situation can, in the entire organization, that kills the morale in the entire organization? So certainly, some of our challenges must be addressed structurally and professionally.
Fred, I just wanted us to allow...
You need good leadership.
Yes.
For instance, you know, I'm running again in Nakawa East, and I believe I'm one of those people to fix such things. So do the wise things fast.
One of the questions you risk getting from this crowd, and I'm sure they are yearning to ask you, is why you think you, at 70, are able to fix the problems of Nakawa, where you have been a 3-time member of parliament and down the line in other leadership positions, as opposed to, for example, myself, who was born and raised in Nakawa, and am now close to 50, and possibly has also grown through the ranks of fixing things in the corporate and other places I've worked in, and should be able now to stand and do the public job that many of you possibly did very well in your time, but can't do now.
Very good question. Who has stopped you from running?
Honorable, I wanted...
Go and run.
I wanted our audience
this
to
is why
ask
I'm saying,
questions. Yeah.
when systems and institutions are fixed, okay, that should not be a question to worry about. Actually, fix yourself. Go and run. Once systems and institutions are in place. For instance, the biggest challenge now in politics is commercialization of politics.
Thank you.
Okay? You'll say, but me, Simon, But you know I'm as broke as you are. So the other day I was asking for some support from you, unless you want to.
Honorable, I wanted us to allow our audience 2 questions before we wind down. So if you have a question, I think just put up your hand. We should get a microphone to you. And then, yes, the technical team, if you could please get a microphone to Nathan here.
Thank you, Honorable. I enjoy listening to you. I've enjoyed listening to you. My question, first of all, people who know you, and even those who may not know you, may generally perceive you as a man of integrity and values and a good leader. And my question is, what makes you think that people like you have a chance to make significant impact in this government? And what are some of the signs you see that give you a belief that you can actually contribute meaningfully instead of just surviving and navigating in a failed system?
I am not aware of any failed system in Uganda, because the expression failed has serious implications. Failed is like talking about a failed state. I'm not seeing Uganda as a failed state. Okay? And I have worked in this government for some good time. I didn't go to the bush. I joined the NRM when it came to power here. I was a young state attorney. But I still have a lot of faith in the NRM government. I think sometimes any system gets overwhelmed. There is no doubt about it. And sometimes, interestingly, sometimes it is personal egos, okay, which bring about challenges in certain institutions. Egos. But I believe people like me, I believe in values. I believe in pursuing a value-based system or direction. It's not this simple politics that we talk about. I will give you, for instance, 2 examples. I have been in that parliament. But sometimes you hear certain people saying they are independent. Independent. They can't be questioned. They can't be. Haven't you heard about that? Even some institutions, the judiciary, we are independent. Bank of Uganda, we are independent. Electoral Commission, we are independent. Independence meaning what? Let me tell you, let me explain this to you. Independence is to the extent that an individual or authority is able to make a decision without undue influence. But independence is not a shield against accountability. Mark that. Independence is not a shield against accountability. Accountability is, for instance, made in Parliament. Bank of Uganda governor will be called in Parliament when they are giving him money to run his institution. If Parliament calls you and say, come and tell us how you have used that money, you cannot say, I'm independent, I'm not coming to you. Why Parliament? Because Article 1 of our Constitution says people belongs to the people. Power belongs to the people. The people are in Parliament. That's where they elect their representatives. So you go there and account. Even the judiciary, Article 126 of the Constitution says the judiciary must be a people-centered judiciary.
Sorry to interject, but I think Nathan's frustration is in the sense of the critical mass of people like yourself being able to change and make a meaningful change on the challenges that we see today. For example, you said we go to parliament to account. But when you flash this spotlight on the caliber and quality of the members of parliament that are in there and perhaps their leadership, one begins to question whether or not this is a cabal of people that actually mean business, and that if you, as Frederick Ruhindi, went there and others like you, you risk being a minority and therefore your actions would come to a zero sum. He asks whether you still believe, considering that people like you are increasingly becoming fewer and fewer, that even your efforts won't be as substantial as a small drop in the ocean.
No. The problem is not the people who are in parliament. The problem is with you, people who elected them.
It comes down to us. Now we are the ones in problem.
But Fred,
Actually, it should be the ones to hang.
yes.
Why?
Fred, if I ask this differently, if I came to Nakawa and voted you,
Yes.
there are three things I would want you to fix instantly and almost immediately. One, I want low interest rates so that I can get a mortgage and build a house in Nakawa. Two, I want functional public transport to be able to move from Nakawa to my job and back. And maybe three,
Health.
I need health infrastructure within Nakawa that if I fall sick, Simon doesn't have to run a GoFundMe of 300 million to get me into a hospital. Can you fix those three things in 5 years in a parliament of 527 people?
Thank you, Ray.
Let me tell you, Raymond. Anyone who comes to tell you, I am going to do that one in the time I will be there, and I will certainly do it, maybe he may be telling you lies. What we need is a holistic approach to our challenges. Okay? One of our greatest challenges, I can tell you, has been the issue of political hygiene.
Political hygiene.
Political hygiene,
What does that mean?
governance issues. I have heard some of my colleagues argue, and they argue well, by the way, and I don't actually, who say the only thing we must fix is the economy. Once we fix the economy, things will be top class. I agree. The economy, we must fix it. But we must also fix governance issues. Okay? We cannot till, we cannot plant where we have not tilled.
Wow.
Tosobola kusiga wotalimye. We want a clean government. Most of our challenges are created out of greed and selfishness of our leaders. If we had the necessary resources, Uganda is a very rich country, and very soon you'll be having money from oil and gas. We can fix many things. But if this issue of, and don't take this, because greed and selfishness is to every individual. Even those who are clamoring to get access to the resources,
They want to take them and steal them.
they may want to take the same. Because greed and selfishness is an inherent, is inherent in human nature, you know?
Honorable Hindi, as we conclude,
Let me finish this. The only way, and I keep repeating, the only way that you can fix that problem is to put in place systems and institutions that check on the excesses of human nature.
Tremendous. So from wherever it is that you're catching this podcast, we're having this good conversation with Honorable Hindi. Honorable Hindi, we will conclude this by putting it to you in the sense that by the time you walk off this podium, the young people listening to you are leaving with a little more hope as opposed to a bigger description of problems that they know all too well because they are living them. What we have done for the most part is describe an existential problem that each one of us experiences in different ways. But I think what we need to walk away with is the hope that this is being fixed. You've told us we all want it fixed, but we still ask you, who will fix it? How will they fix it? And how soon can they fix it? And when you quote Isaiah 60:22, I don't think we should be at a point where I am not against religion and belief in God. Matter of fact, I do believe. But we can't leave all to divine intervention. Maybe there's something a young person like Raymond and I and others in this house can do. If at all, tell us what it is.
The challenge is on every one of us. Each one must play his her part. But we in government, we are led. There's no doubt. We have a government that we elected. And the topmost person is the president. There's no doubt about it. Article, I think 97, thereabouts, is the fountain of honor. Okay? Executive authority vests in him.
The buck stops with him.
The buck stops with the president. And as much as everyone must play his or her part, but of course, the buck stops with the president. And he's accountable to the people. He's accountable to the people. We are in accountability. Every 5 years, he goes back to the people, seek re-election. I will vote for him, if you may wish to know. I will vote for President Museveni.
That one we
because
know. Because
you did not ask me questions why I should actually vote for him, because I also wanted to tell you that.
Not today.
Because let me tell you, no Raymond, why tomorrow? Because now, you see what is happening in the world? Iran, Israel, America is getting in. I don't know why we don't feel that global pressure. Museveni is still a treasure with us in Uganda as far as the security issues are concerned. And I believe he has played his role. Even people who actually hate him the most, but they respect him in certain areas. So let's give him credit where it is due. Okay? And I will vote for him.
I'm unable to stop Honorable Hindi when he's making his point for many reasons.
Yeah, you
So
can now
now
talk.
leave that to you.
So I agree with you. The buck stops with him. All right? The buck stops with him.
Yeah.
Everyone must play. By the way, even this discussion alone, we are playing our part.
Oh, we thank you.
Yes, we are playing our part. We are waking up certain souls which have been dormant. We must act together. We must think together. I'm always ready to come here and share my views with you. We can have some evening,
Grab coffees.
grab coffees, and we come and sit and chat and find a direction to where we want to go. As I have been telling you, my leadership is out. It's a calling. Much of my leadership, I have not been earning money. But I serve people in different capacities and areas, which does not include money.
Thank you very much, Honorable Hindi, for gracing our program. And
Thank you.
Thank you for those who managed to help us put this together, MultiChoice, DVI, Endiro, and all the other great partners. Over to you, Raymond.
Yeah, I am just besmatched now. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for Honorable Fred Ruhindi. When he gets into Parliament, I'll take my 3 causes as I've elucidated them. I'll come to you, sir, and tell you to fix my 3 causes. That's my contribution to the politics, to give you the problems.
3 what?
I'm giving you my 3 problems. I need a cheap mortgage, I need functional public transport, and functional healthcare. Full stop.
I will start with greed and selfishness.
Which are none of
I
his
will
problems.
start with political hygiene.
But
in
say
our
thank you.
governance.
Yes. Thank you so much, Honorable, for giving us time today and for agreeing to come onto the podcast. We're truly gracious that you allowed us this time. We hope that we can have you more because we really need to get into the mind of cabinet just to understand how cabinet thinks, how cabinet discusses problems, how cabinet solves problems.
First, take me there again.
And then, of course, when we next meet, we will be asking you again, because maybe then you'll be in cabinet, on whether the challenges that afflict us as young people, as you elucidated to earlier on the program, of habit and disillusionment and all the challenges that we have to grapple with, whether it's a systemic failure of the governance question, or is it also a failure of parenting, as you put it? And you kind of skirted around it, but as you conclude, you may wish just to comment on that, and then we can ask leave of you.
No, it's a combination. It's a combination. And I keep on telling you that if we don't address these issues holistically, we will not get anywhere. It takes two to tango. Avoid keeping on heaping. Anything fails on your part, government. Anything fails on your part, government.
We must take personal responsibility. Thank you very much, Honorable Ruhindi, for gracing our program. And you, our listeners, from wherever it is that you catch this podcast, but even more especially, those of our special subscribers who made it here for the live
Simon, we
recording.
forgot something very important. Honorable Fred Ruhindi, how do you like your coffee made? How do you take coffee in the morning? Do you take tea?
I think, by the way, for a change, it was today, because I'm a tea person, but today I wanted to take this coffee, and you can see I'm not actually putting the cup down. I should have kept the cup in my hand, but...
So now you have been officially inscripted into grabbing a coffee and not grabbing a tea, since you already dropped grabbing a bottle of beer.
For a long time now.
All right. Thank you so much.
And I used to enjoy it with my brother, Cassiate's dad. We used to enjoy it.
I was hoping we don't get to that part of the podcast, but thank you so much, Honorable Fred Ruhindi. We're going to take a small 5 minutes break.